Meiklejohn Civil Rights Institute decided to write this book, put this book together, actually edit it, because the Bush administration, Bush-Cheney administration, has done so many things more to destroy the Constitution and constitutional law in this country than any previous administration, that we just had to do something.
Well, the book deals with laws that are unjust laws that have been passed during the Bush administration, or laws that are just that have not been enforced to the protection of all U.S. citizens. An example of that has to do with Hurricane Katrina. The fact that in the case of Hurricane Katrina, there were already a number of laws on the books, one being the Stafford Recovery Act, under which FEMA gets its mandate to come in and during a disaster. If those laws that were already on the books were enforced, the catastrophe that we saw, which was a policy failure on a drastic level, that would not have happened because the people's rights under those laws would have been observed. And then we see a number of other laws that have been created, taking away civil rights, civil liberties, taking away people's right to an attorney, etc., that really fly in the face of what living in a democracy in the 21st century should be about.
And it turned out that there are 67 different categories of bad laws that Bush and Cheney have pushed through, or good laws that they have refused to administer. So the book is called Undoing the Bush-Cheney Legacy, a Toolkit for Congress and Activists. And in it, we describe a law. And the first thing we do is give the name of the law or the Bush statement, where to find it, who is hurt by this law, what the law provides, what the law ignores, and what Congress can do about it.
There are many issues that a lot of people may not know about, such as signing statements. When a bill is passed through Congress, the president either signs the bill or vetoes it. Bush has surpassed every U.S. president by issuing 1,167 signing statements that challenge Congress's authority to act or asserts that the president will not enforce the law as written. For example, the Intelligence Reform and Terrorism Prevention Act of 2004 establishes a Privacy and Civil Liberties Oversight Board to review the actions of the executive office. Bush signed the act but issued a signing statement that the president will withhold information that would impair national security and the deliberative processes of the executive office. This signing statement ignores Article 2, Section 3 of the U.S. Constitution that requires the president to faithfully execute the laws of the land.
Another law that we have in the book, and we have 67 altogether, another that more people have heard about, is lifting habeas corpus, saying that no detainee has a right to habeas corpus. This is not what's in the Constitution. The Constitution is clear. You can only abolish habeas corpus in case of civil war or an invasion. We do not have either at this time. And Congress passed this law permitting what are called detainees to be held without habeas corpus. And the result is that there are hundreds of people still being held at Guantanamo and were held at Abu Ghraib under conditions that are absolutely unconstitutional.
They can find out what rights they have. And by finding out what rights they have, they'll be able to find out what rights are being violated, both on an individual and a collective level. Finding out what those rights are is really tantamount. That's part of being a responsible citizen, and it's also a part of ensuring that those who don't have the money, the power, and the prestige to buy influence within legislative or judicial quarters, that their rights are protected by the laws.
Bush proposed and Congress has passed the No Child Left Behind Act, requiring all public schools to give lists and contact information of all their students. As a result, children as young as 11 years old are being approached and influenced by military recruiters at school, even though the U.S. has signed and ratified the optional protocol on children in armed conflicts, requiring that states permit voluntary recruitment into their national armed forces, and requires it to be carried out with informed consent of the child's parents or legal guardian.
What I'll do with the book is, because I'm a public speaker and I do a lot of work on the issue of racism, I will look at the book with respect to the things that I can glean from it as I go around the country talking about racism, and as I talk about proactive measures that people can take on a community and institutional basis to undo racism and thus undo some of these terrible laws that have been written with some, if not a racist intent, certainly a racist impact.
People in the United States are being affected by the bad laws Bush has pushed through. But the people in the United States are also going to be affected because people all over the world are going to say, the United States today is not a democratic country. We don't want to have an alliance with them. We don't want to work with them. We want to cause them not to be powerful because they are destroying democracy and human rights all over the world. And so for that reason, we put together this book. And in each case, there's something Congress can do to stop this. And that, I think, is why it's important. People can urge Congress members to do something about each of these bills. And I think that it is critical at this moment in history of this country, given the global nature of society, that people in the United States have something in their hand that they can hold, visit their Congress member, their senator or representative in Washington, or visit their aides at home, and say, look, this is a law that you permitted to Congress to pass, or this is a law that Bush has put into effect that needs to be stopped in 2009. It gives you exactly the information you need so that you can say, I'm not just talking in general. What are you going to do about signing statements that are illegal? What are you going to do about abolishing the Patriot Act, repealing the Patriot Act? What are you going to do about each of these laws that Bush and Cheney have pushed through? And I think that's the thing that's critical today, that people don't give up, they don't think there's nothing they can do, and they know specifically exactly what to propose.